tu Angola, 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 tudo é diferente na Angola. Give thanks and praise, everybody. Much love and respect, all you fabulous dissidents. This episode is a two-parter, and in fact, what I'm recording now is 2 days after the second half of this installment on the Slick Dissident Shared Artistic Expression. It's kind of like the epics. I've broken it up and I'm telling the story out of order. So the episode that I recorded was very uncomfortable. And I think it has to be, as the provocation protocols are quite afoot. And I think the psychological fortification requires me to be more thorough, more candid, more honest than ever. And I am about to talk about Freud's anal fixation specifically. And a lot of people are dialed into the psychological imperative of infantilizing the masses. And I just want to kind of make more context before I talk about Freud's anal fixation. Sigmund Freud has always been the death card because he has the death drive, and he also, he has a lot of much needed research on what people perceive as human psychology, and has been picked up and turned into pop psychology. So I see, and I know Sigmund Freud is considered, a patron saint amongst the initiated circles, along with quite a few other authors that I don't enjoy, I don't agree with, but I just know that so much of propaganda is built on the framework of a lot of these culture creators from 100 years ago. And their work is showing its fruit. So, we're about to talk about Freud's anal fixation as it relates to the alien invasion. And it is so not comfortable. It's just so not comfortable. And I myself have gone back and forth on whether I was going to even release the video that I've recorded or not. And I think it takes a lot of courage, a lot of bravery to talk about what nobody else wants to talk about, and so I'm going to make the disclaimer again in the beginning that forgive me for my honesty. Forgive me for my honesty. I think a lot of people seek comfort in their research, and their comfort creates a narrowing of their bandwidth, a narrowing of their vision. And the more you stay in what is comfortable, the more shadow you create for yourself. And so much information is actually developing your bias. Your bias is fostered by what is discomforting. I think of Moses splitting the ocean so the Israelites could walk dry shod across the Red Sea. And while they're walking through the Red Sea, they can actually see animals doing their thing in the waters. And those animals are much like little shadows and innuendos and your bestial nature that you never knew was there. And for the Israelites, there is so much courage to take the walk of faith into the wilderness. And they're realizing that there's an entire world under the sea. Under the sea. So, and large amount of what I am about to talk about, I think, is metaphorically uh, encapsulated in that visual of realizing that there was so much more in the world that was just under the surface. Oh, I got a visitor. One sec. Big love and respect, everybody. I got a little Christmas delivery at my door today. Yeah, I'm feeling so appreciated and loved. All right, so we're talking about the Israelites walking dry shod through the Red Sea and seeing the animals flitting about and realizing there's plus ultra to the realm. You know, these strange, shadowy creatures are broadening their horizons as they're going into the wilderness. And also, I want to frame up the analytic psychology of Sigmund Freud has is very much discredited. Many people choose not to validate it or manifest it. And the fascinating aspect of that is that he did his work on the Oedipus complex, which is foul. However, a lot of people might not be thinking about the fact that Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud, they had the upper echelon of um, of dynastic families coming to them for resolving their personal psychology issues. And I think it was Carl Jung who said outright that he's realizing that so many of these upper crust uh, children are subjected to dark, traumatic uh, abuse and mind control. And so Sigmund Freud, focusing on the Oedipus complex, is actually catering to the upper crust. You know, it's really not for the common folks. And there's something about their work being biased by the fact that their clientele was so rich. And also, an aspect of the Oedipus complex, from what I've read, actually has to do with the story of Oedipus and its secondary fan fiction that was written about Oedipus is revealing that it's really a metaphor for when empires collapse, when the society experiences so much dysfunction that when a prince comes into this dysfunctional, near collapsing community, that even if he plays by the old rules, Oedipus does absolutely everything he was supposed to do, and he still suffers the greatest tragedy because he was doing what he ought to do, and it still worked against him, regardless of his perfect negotiating of the traditions of the community, because the community needed a scapegoat for things to collapse, and that happens in accord to the hecatones. Um, and so, yeah, there's a great amount uh, of fortifying your understanding of society at large by studying Oedipus, and I believe it's Oedipus Rex, some of the subsequent plays that are reflecting back on why the initial play was so misunderstood. It was extremely misunderstood. And they actually had to do further productions to highlight how Oedipus did absolutely everything right, and he suffered for it. So he took on the dissolving of his empire. And Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud were actually uh, doing treatment for that upper echelon where there's so much um, incest. There's so much incest, and also take the same formula for the family and overlay it onto corporations and how corporations operate like dynastic families. So yeah, the his work on Oedipus completely shit coded the rest of what's redeemable out of Freud. And so people don't want to look there because it's so uncomfortable. And that is kind of in the spirit of what I'm about to talk about with the anal fixation of the infantilized masses. And so I just want to bring this into context for current events because I'll get to it. You guys will understand when I start doing the fun little anagrams and playing around with the innuendos of what the alien invasion is all about. So we're about to get to that here in the second half of the slick, distant, shared artistic expression. Very risky business here. But I want to bring things to the light of day. I see so much of what's happening right now is drumming on this number three, the third speaker in the symposium, in speaking order, not seating order, but in speaking order, was Rick the physician. And the third muse is his muse is Euterpe. And I think they're playing us like a flute right now as things are flitting about in the sky. Yeah, there's a grand orchestration in the psychology of the masses. But this is by my read. Euterpe is the muse of music, and I think endorphins are the major note that is being struck in the psyche of the masses. Um, and I'm going to say it now. I'll say it again in a few minutes. But the word endorphins is an anagram for drone ship. And when I looked at the military drones, this is not the model of drones that are happening in New Jersey. By the way, in the Infernal Spirits, this is El Diablo, the doubler. And to play music, you have to know how to double the divided line. But El Diablo is also the devil. And where are the drones happening? In New Jersey, where the New Jersey devil is a trauma torch being passed along. But endorphins is an anagram for drone ship. So I go and I look at the military strike drones in their model, and I look at the formula for endorphins, the chemical makeup of endorphins, and the military strike drones look very much like the chemical makeup of endorphins. Um, and also, I've amalgamated a great many of the sigils for the constellations into the shape of the model that is very correspondent to what the drones look like. But furthermore, the other type, the one that is in the New Jersey Diablo, flying around, scaring people, has generally three lights. And, let's point out real quick, if aliens didn't want to be seen, they wouldn't have lights. The fact that they have lights means that they want you to see them. This is the fishing of men. And the same thing even goes for with the Iron Curtain, when you can see rockets and missiles coming in just like fireworks. That's not very strategically sound to illuminate your displays of military aggression to actually make them seen. Doesn't it make sense that these missiles should be completely invisible? They should be totally invisible, unless they're catering to an audience. So uh, the the New Jersey Devil is buzzing in the psychology of man, and the military or somebody in the government comes on and says, we need to shoot them down. They need to be shot down. And there's an Iranian mothership off the coast where they're all coming from. The word drones is DR, doctor, ONE. One doctor was shot down in a vigilante strike in broad daylight, just like John Lennon at the front of the Shandor building. So they're reenacting the assassination of John Lennon when they killed that CEO of the healthcare industry. One doctor was shot down. And then the military comes on and says, we need to shoot these drones down. And he doesn't even put on the caveat that this is not instructions for everybody to go out and start shooting at these drones. He doesn't even say not to do that. He just says they need to be shot down. It's so provocative. So one drone, one doctor, or drone, DR1, and one doctor. This harmonizes to one of my protests around the idea that everybody needs to take the poke because everybody has the right to a second opinion of their doctor. You don't just go to one doctor and think you've got the answer. You better be going to two, three, four, five, a great many doctors. So this one doctor gets taken out, and then we get instructions or implied instructions from the military that they need to be shot. And so the vigilante flare up is just retribution um, command order. And I just want everybody to think about how, when you feel compelled to retribution, consider that you're missing an opportunity for reconciliation. I think every time you feel an urge for retribution, you should do your best to work towards reconciliation. These are all aspects of the dopamine down here. And I want to tell a quick story regarding how mythology of the folk people is so often boiled into social engineering agendas and then served up with great anticipation so that people will see what their mind has been prepared to witness. Uh, in Germany, all of the children's stories had scary wolves, and in all of the Grimm brothers' tales, the wolf always wins. There were no axemen or woodsmen to come along and kill the wolf and save the main characters. The, the wolf always won in the folk legends of the German people. And when they repackage it for the American perspective, there's always some hero that comes and resolves all of these stories. But that's not how they were told in their original context. And consider the fact that the word Adolf means head wolf. And I definitely recommend people look up the common law uh, um, command order that is caput gerit lupinum. It means let him wear the wolf's head, and it's an APB when somebody has gone off the reservation and is a renegade rogue, an outlaw. They will tell all the people caput gerit lupinum, let him wear the wolf's head, and it includes taking things to such extreme degree that if this renegade has come into your house, you are required not only to not shelter them, you're required to escape from your house and set your own house on fire. And if you don't take it that far, you will be complicit in the crimes of the wolf who's wearing the wolf head. So yeah, caput gerit lupinum was uh, uh, um, manifested when Adolf, head wolf, came into power. And he used that. He totally used that. That was the name of his secret headquarters in the woods, was the Wolf's Den. So they were using the mythology of the masses for generations to facilitate the fear response of the not sees, the not sees, the muse slimes, the muse of slime, which is very correspondent to the mu over here. The shape of the sixth prime number in Greek is mu, and it has a little booger coming off of its nose. There's a lot of Blair Witch um, projected onto this little booger hanging off the nose of the not sees of the muse slime, the muse of what is slimy. And that's Erato. That's Erato. She's all slimy. She's we are often listening to the glistening more than we realize. All right, mothership, the head wolf. Yeah, the head wolf. And the vilification of a single scarecrow to steer the masses left or right. I think I'm going to leave it on that. And maybe I'll drum more on some of the Hitler repackaging that seems to be popping up just off the radar, just in the periphery. There's a great amount of art that I have learned very recently that they have actually instilled some of Adolf Hitler's self-portraitry into some of our cultural icons. Um, yeah, I'll just share it now. I'll share it now. So yeah, Adolf Hitler's self-portrait is a depiction of him sitting on this bridge that is the main historical monument just outside of Tavistock, and he's sitting on the bridge, and the river is running with blood, and there are two stones under the bridge behind him, and this was depicted when Luke Skywalker is his death scene when he dissolves in his brown cloak, drops to the floor. I think that was actually a catharsis cathode to the same dynamic when Obi-Wan allowed uh, uh, Vader to strike him down. That was the tragedy. Well, the catharsis from the tragedy was a release when Luke Skywalker, who looks a lot like Steve 1+7 Anon, and yeah, so that was a catharsis spell, a releasing of the resentment from the tragedy of Obi-Wan. Well, the whole scene of him sitting there staring off at the two suns is very correspondent to Adolf Hitler's self-portraiture. Also, likewise, the same dynamic was depicted in the Economist magazine, The Rough Guide to Hell. It was Angela Merkel was sitting on the bridge with a river of red under her feet, and she's sitting there with a bag in the purse, and the purse reads sloth, number 9, personality type. And then, sure enough, in the Marvel Avengers culminating scene, in the catharsis of the closing scene, Captain America goes through a time machine to go back and put all the stones back, and he's supposed to warp back just seconds later to where he started, and he doesn't come back, and they start looking around like, oh no, we lost Captain America in the time machine. And then they look over to the lake, and there's an old man sitting overlooking the lake, and he has a brown bag next to him. And then Sam, the Falcon, the next Captain America, comes over and has a little talk with him. And sure enough, the old Captain America is a perfect Joe Biden. He's embodying Joe Biden perfectly, and he's handing over the mantle of Captain America. All right, so what does the flat Earth model of macabre way Obamacare being passed like a mantle from Joe Biden to the Falcon? For one, it signifies Robert Falcon Scott, who went down to Antarctica to discover that Norway had already planted their Loki staff to make their claim. It signifies to me, oh, and he's passing it off to the black Captain America, right? So it's kind of a little bit of Biden and Obama. But the fact that Merkel is holding that bag and it is considered or signifying sloth, the number 9, the 9th muse is Urania. She's the muse of geometry and um, uh, the stars, the heavens, the firmament, if you will. And in my read, this confirms my bias that I am a geocentric hylozoism, Tycho Brahe is the model that really gives me the most gratification because in Tycho Brahe's geocentric model, the Earth is not going a bazillion miles an hour. I don't even know the number, some 93 in code or something along those lines, some other geometric number, sacred geometry number. In the Tycho Brahe model, not only is the Earth slowing down, more slothful than the measurements that they give everybody, it's actually going in reverse order against the grade of the rest of the racers, the threa2ones, the planetary deified entities that have free will because they can go retrograde. So yeah, I think that the slothful Urania flat Earth model shield is confirming my bias of the hylozoistic geocentric Tycho Brahe model. That in fact, not only is Earth not going super duper fast, it's actually it's a contrarian. It's going against the grade, and that slow. It's 1 mile an hour, and that slow reversal actually intensifies the movement of the stars in the heavens. So the sloth being the key to reconfiguring the math of the realm. I think that is kind of the token that's being passed along. And it generates rogue agencies. It makes a lot of contrarian lateral thinkers that become the rebel force that want to reform and perfect science. Number one, it generates a great amount of wrath that other people don't see it the way that it is clearly mapping out if you just tweak to the Tycho Brahe perspective. All right, y'all. I'm going to leave it at that. I just wanted to buzz on the drones of one doctor and the vigilante bat signal that has been sent out and the implications that we should take law into our own hands, which I think we all know better than to play into these provocation spells. One thing that I think could be beneficial is that people around these locations where the drones are popping off, they're probably gearing up. They're probably getting ready to shoot down threats out of the sky, which might be necessary down the road, but I sure hope not. And one more decode that I did recently, I've been talking about the draft of everybody get on the ship and go 2 by 2 onto Noah's Ark, and Toys R Us is a call for the draft and keeping the children ready and excited for war. I just want to point out that Toys R Us is also a phonetic anagram hiding out in the word oxytocin. And oxytocin is the love chemical, but it's also responsible for othering people, for othering other people. And oxytocin is responsible for milk release. And I just want to interpret some of this a little bit. Think of if a mother needs to breastfeed, she can't do it. She can't feel comfortable if she's in a busy public area because there are other people who might judge her. So a mother needs to be sure and confident that she can give nutrition to her child by recognizing that anybody in the room is reflecting lovingly on her, so that she can engage in the most loving exchange of information with her child. And so the mother bear of oxytocin is signifying in my read the Ursa Major. Ursa Majora is the mother bear, and she's very protective. And so this the Toys R Us of giving comfort to the children is also been grafted onto the narrative of getting kids ready to other entire ideologies and putting lines in the sand in an unhealthy manner. So yeah, Toys R Us and oxytocin and the love drug versus the othering of other people is all signified in the most sacred exchange between a mother and her child. All right, I think that's all the things I wanted to say. It's been a hot scramble. I hope all the information comes through. I'm going to work real hard on the graphics to try to convey this vision as consistently as I can. And at the end of the video that I'm about to add on to this video, I posted an invitation for people to bring their poetry into my comment section. If you're comfortable, if your oxytocin is feeling enough to release your creative juices, but keep your poetry short. And I'm just going to say it again. I'll say it at the end of this clip. The haiku. Study the haiku, y'all. Study it. It's very, very fortifying. It adds potency to your word selection. You know, it's a practice in speaking impeccably, and that is what I hope people can develop in their research and appreciation for what the haiku is, high science that can enrich all of our lives. All right, y'all. Big love and respect. thanks and praise. Dissidents, we made it. We made it. We broke through the threshold. 4,000 subscribers has officially taken place. Give thanks and praise. I'm so full of joy. I'm so happy. I'm so positive. I'm so uplifted. And the world is going to shit. The world is going to shit. So, as always, it is time for the mystic to swim, puppy, swim. I tell you what. So, I want to do a great amount of de-occulting on the deepest of levels. And I'm really pulling out all the stops. You know, a couple of videos back, I was saying, I'm out of control. I'm out of control. And I realized, nah, I'm under control to a large degree. There is so much I don't say. There's so much that I don't say. And I think in this video, I'm going to say a great many things that I have chosen not to say. And I should also make a disclaimer. It's not going to work. But this one is going to be a little bit into the rated R, whereas I try to stay PG-17, NC-17, generally in my works. But we're going rated R. We're going maybe a little past rated R on this one. I'm going to talk a great amount about phobia. You know, the FBI is a twilight whisper of phobias. And so I should give people a chance to cut and run, but I doubt it'll work. You know, that generally just tempts people to proceed even more. So let's start with the magic's in the butt. Let's talk about the magic is in the butt. Bobotes. The 13th constellation by size on the IAU is Bobotes. The Greek letter for Greek 13th letter is Mu. And I've done so much weaving on how Mu has been vilified. This is even Muslims, you know, Muslims have been vilified, made into the scariest of scary bad guys. I talk about shit coding all the time. Even sheep dipping. A great amount of occulting the double entendre is dependent upon the magic is in the butt. And the magic is in the butt because that is where the shadow work comes from. I also spoke recently about the unconscious and how the unconscious is dream work. And I am a gifted dream interpreter, a very gifted dream interpreter. And, you know, I think there's a lot of candor that is required to speak to other people's dreams. And part of that candor is revealing, bringing to light what people are in denial of. You know, gut, behind me, Satan. Get behind me, Satan. And a lot of shadow work is hiding out in your unconscious and has a great amount to do with the dreams and the unseen. And even the word dream in reverse is the Latin word for shit. Mierd. Mierd is the word dream in reverse. And I'm quite sure that many psychologists in the olden days were quite aware that your dreams are the byproduct of your day. Much like what you consume for food, it comes out where in the unseen realm. It's forbidden. You're not supposed to be paying a lot of attention to that. You're supposed to just move along. So the magic's in the butt. And I have so many examples of this, how the magic is in the butt. And hiding shadow work in anal entendre is keeping it occulted because of our natural aversion to what is shit-coded. And this is also pointing to the number 6, the loyalists have the shadow of fear or anxiety. And one of many examples of the magic is in the butt is hiding in the countdown that is done for so many competitions, and the launch sequence that they when they send rockets up to the altar, to the sky altar, the countdown. Even when we were children, when you're getting ready to race, there's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And the word 0 is not a number, it's a symbol, it's a space holder. And it has that shape. It has that universal shape. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0 is twilight whisper in all of our minds. Always has been and it always will. Whispering. Fight, 4, threat, 2, 1's, 0. This is the mark O, pole O. And I'm going to decipher the disappearing of the Marco Polo. The childlike mind is interpreting, it is deciphering a great amount of information in our lack of thinking space. The things that we don't associate with are running games in our psyche. This is also kind of pointing at that Black's Law Dictionary being an occulted Karma Sutra. And it does take a very childlike mind to interpret the hidden entendres of the world. When I was a child, the scariest thing that the adults were circulating in the narrative was the Cold War. The Cold War. I was a kid. I'm like, I ain't afraid of no cold. I get a cold every year. You know, my seasonal immune response, you know, is a cold war. And sure enough, I come of age where I'm supposed to put away the things of children, and all of a sudden the Cold War goes live. It manifests in this grotesque mucus phobia, mucus phobia. The word Fauci in reverse is I cough. I cough. It even has an Italian accent. I cough. This fear of mucus, the fear of moose slimes, the smiley face of it all is so often designating an enemy, and it is seeded when we are children. And as you become an adult, the fears of your childhood, like the Cold War or the Mu slimes, becomes something that all of a sudden everybody takes very hyperstitiously. Hyperstition. I've said it before. Metaphors, they're fine and dandy. They're fine and dandy. But we are living in an age of hyperstition, where there are babushka dolls of meaning, with metaphors inside of metaphors inside of metaphors, that unpack in ways that become so obviated in times of distress For example, the the puffy combs in the Jay-Z black male narrative. They're hyperstitiously infusing our language with undue fear response. And it does take a child's mind to see through the hyperstitious babushka dolls of layered meaning. Another aspect of, Jay Z being scripted into this black male network is generating a great amount of animosity, fear, and acrimony at large, and it's all justified. It's all justified in its own right. But we are passing a trauma torch. We are passing a trauma torch. JZX, JZX, Generation Z, Generation X, Gen Z, JZX sounds a lot like a certain Messiah, right? A certain Messiah, Jesus, JZX. But it also is encoding the lunar standstill cycle. J, it reduces to a 1, Z reduces to an 8, and X reduces to a 6, 18.6. And so the fear of these narratives are a trauma torch to be passed on to sustain a high-grade epigenetic phobia of the lunar standstills. And the lunar standstills were encoded in the scene of the crucifix. When the universe goes blank, some say for 3 seconds, some say for 3 hours. I found out that the Mormons believe that Jesus, during the blackout on the crucifixion scene, Mormons actually believe that Jesus teleported to Mesoamerica and gave a second Sermon on the Mount in Mesoamerica, that the Mormons came and fulfilled the golden tablets of Joseph Smith. But the JZX of the 18.6 is a trauma torch, and the thing about making it a phobia, a fear response, is giving it a prolonged shelf life. The more horrific the narrative is, the more sustained the encoding is to be passed on to the next generation. So Generation X and Jay-Z and his sex scandal is keeping the lunar standstill encode alive. And it very much is also preserved in our alphabet. RST. On the 7th day he RST, rested. R plus S equals 37, which is the 12th prime number. There's your calendar. There's your Joachim and your Boaz, the 12th prime. 1 is Joachim, 2 is Boaz. 37. Now you divide R plus S equals 37. You divide it by T, and it reduces back to 18.5. That is the lunar standstill. RST and still. Lunar standstill. So the passing of the trauma torch around the adrenochrome phobia is an epigenetic inheritance that we picked up from the ancestors. It's embedded and immortalized in our alphabet, and it is anticipated to be passed on to the kids. So I have the sun card and the moon card in the location of adrenaline, because when the lunar standstills approach, which are different from all your other eclipses because it's a prolonged eclipse, they require the Akhenaten, Oxen 19, the Sol Imon, the moon and the star, the monster. All of this is linguistic phobia to drum up your epigenetic memory of what is frightening, what is scary. So I've got the sun and the moon up here in the adrenaline position. 19 is the 8th prime number. So I have the moon and the star up here with Andromeda and adrenaline, the controller, the controller domineering one with the shadow of lust, remedial virtue of sympathy. And adrenaline is played out through your sympathetic nervous system. And so I wanted to buzz on the phobia of these deep inevitabilities. These are inevitabilities. Another aspect of playing towards your phobias is, keeping these monsters just outside of what is said, implicit to what is seen with the linear thought forms. I have a phrase written down. I think this might be the title for this episode. The Homoerotic migrant phobia supremacy. Homoerotic migrant phobia supremacy. So many of our fears are actually homoerotic threats. And the entire penal system is dependent upon homophobic gag reflex, really. There's something sickly hypocritical about threatening men with prison, with the penal system, where if you were of a non-straight proclivity, going to prison would be like a weekend retreat, to go and be stuck in where all of the crazy threats to 1-0 are taking place. So I just want to actually provoke your fears and bring them straight into the light of sight, because they are hanging just outside in the twilight, lingering periphery of what is being said so many times. So the whole narrative around aliens. The word alien, let's do it. ALIEN. Is that even coming out? It looks reversed to me, but I don't know. Is ANIEL. I hope that's coming through. It looks reversed in my camera, which is weird. I'm not sure if it's supposed to look like that, but I'm sure. Oh, yeah, it is reversed. The alien invasion is drumming on Aleister Crowley's maxim that magic is in the butt. The fear response is in the sex sense of humor. It is a sex sense of humor to bring the things of children, the innuendo that your inner child is totally dialed to, bringing it into the light of day and pointing out the subliminal, what is being seeded in your subliminal. And pretty much it really sucks, but a great amount of what Crowley put forward, it was the blueprints, it was the revelation of the method. You got to succeed to succeed. It's disgusting. But the more you bury it in your shadow, the more you feed that monster, the more your own fears own you. Now, I'm not telling people to go get into butt stuff. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying listen to your inner child. Your inner child knows truths that are vast beyond any single lifetime. Your inner child knows. Your inner child knows. And I suggest you all listen closely, because these veiled threats are targeting our inner children, your er0s, your desires, those little cherubs that we all still protect adamantly. You know, another example is when the bell dings, we were programmed when we were young to close our books, change the subject, stop thinking, and move into child traffic, to fight to get ahead in class, And sure enough, when people talk about the buildings collapsing, they had ritualistically fulfilled the psychological shutting of books, changing the subject, and moving on with no reflection, and walking on glass through child traffic. So a lot of the fear and the phobia of what is circulated amongst the adults is actually embedded into the ritual from our Prussian education system. And I am happy to bring these things into the light of day. I ponder whatever the Cold War was when I was a kid that manifested into the lockdowns, what are they going to repackage for the next generation? Drones, is it going to be the drones that's going to be the next fear response for the kids? I can't predict that, but I got my ear to the ground. I got my ear to the ground on what is the next trigger response for the next generation. What is this Cold War that went hot? What are they going to package up for the next generation of kids? And what narrative do I not want my kiddo to associate with her fear response? I just want to do anything and everything to snuff out the trauma torch, and keep the lies in the light of day, obviated the best I can. All right. Yeah. Another thing I want to talk about, the narcissism of small differences. I highly recommend everybody looks into. Sigmund Freud gets a lot of the credit. It's way older than him. So many of these concepts have some sort of patriarch in history who gets accredited for talking about it the most. And the narcissism of small differences is very important right now. It's very important right now as they drive the divide between the flat earthers and the round earthers. Everybody is going into their encampments. They're digging their trenches. They're entrenched in their ideologies. But the thing is, as soon as you get entrenched into your ideology, and everybody in your camp is pointing fingers at that other camp, look at those stupid guys over there. They believe the Earth is whatever. As soon as you think that your enemy is over there, oxytocin, the othering of people, as soon as you're entrenched, the narcissism of small differences will start to kick in. And because the big threat of round Earth, flat Earth is elsewhere, you think that the people around you agree with you more. And what is the strange dynamic that happens is because you think that the large differentiation of worldview is elsewhere, somehow in your own trench, the smallest little difference becomes magnified. It becomes magnified exponentially. It's completely unreasonable. But as soon as you've othered half of the world, or 80% of the world, to say that they are all dumbasses, then as soon as somebody in your own camp makes one little uh, uh, uncomfortable statement, it becomes wildly magnified in significance. And that sparks off these differences uh, in very unreasonable ways. So, as the shape of the Earth encampment kicks off, everybody needs to keep the narcissism of small differences in the forefront of your mind. I just got done lecturing my buddy Juan for talking smack on flat earthers in his comments section because we're going to need all the allies we can get when they come for the children in the draft. You're going to need all the friends you can get when the draft comes. And you don't want to be encamped in a situation of thinking that all the dumbasses are elsewhere. And as soon as somebody right next to you says one little thing that you don't agree with, that's 90% of your allies to fight against what's coming after the children. So I think that these lines in the sand, they are not even important. They are not even important. We need to kick those walls down. The draft is the only cause that controls me. That's the only purpose. That's the only noble drive that I will make a stand on. And the shape of the realm doesn't mean shit because the draft is the real enemy. And it's coming hard and fast, and the kids are not ready. They are not ready. Lecture mode. Serious lecture mode. We've crossed the threshold. 4,000 subscribers. I'm going to talk some shit. All right. So I want to talk about the drones, right? Fascinating thing. I highly recommend people check out Plato's Republic. Get in there. Take it in bite-sized pieces. Chew it up, spit it out, but then mill over what you spat out. You might find treasures beyond your wildest imagining when you cogitate on the Republic and when you disavow some of the aspects of the Republic, it turns out some of the things that you're actually refuting out of Plato's work become treasures for a lifetime. So one aspect of Plato's Republic is they literally talk about drones, 3 types of drones. There's winged drones that have stingers. There's winged drones that don't have stingers. And then there's the drones that don't even have wings or stingers. This is the caste system. They're talking about the caste system. And it blows my mind that right now the word drones is a total gadfly in the psychology of humanity. Gaddafi was a gadfly, right? Gaddafi had his 400 Amazonas bodyguards. His name is Gadfly. What's that other guy's name? Bashar al-Assad. His name is, by my read, it's not perfect. It's not quite perfect, but I see search for your shadow. Buscar is a look for. Al-Assad, it's not a sombrero or sombra. It's not really an anagram for sombra, but it is in there. If I really finagle the letters, I can pull sombra out of Al-Assad. It's a bit of a stretch though, but I see his name whispering, search for your shadow. It's a Groundhog's Day. It's a Groundhog's Day whisper. And Groundhog's Day is Inauguration Day. What was his name? Osama bin Laden. He was totally a groundhog, gadfly of sorts, ox goad for the psyche of the collective. So yeah, Buscar al-Assad is totally another Groundhog's Day. You know, he's gonna go into the shadows of oblivion, and people are gonna be looking at every little slightest little provocation as just an excuse for more psyops inside of psyops. So yeah, Inauguration Day is coming. Inauguration Day, no joke, y'all. It's popping off uh, pretty much on the same day as the Eta Carinid meteor showers, where the baby homunculus inside of a mama homunculus nebula is inside of the Carinid constellation, and the meteor shower comes down over the inauguration day. And then Groundhog's Day is the next week. It always is. But something that fascinates me, where did I put it, is that correlates to the upcoming Navaratri cycle. The next Navaratri, I think it starts on February 2nd, is the beginning of Navaratri, of the next winter Navaratri, which is a hidden Navaratri. The winter and the summer Navaratri cycles are the hidden, the Mahagupta Navaratris are winter and summer. The public-facing, well-known Navaratris are spring and fall. So yeah, Groundhog's Day is going to take place just after the week of inauguration, just after the homunculus meteor showers, and then we're going to be moving through the winter Mahagupta Navaratri. So, right, one more thing about the magic is in the butt, NASA, right? Anus, NASA. You know, the magic is totally in the butt, y'all. And it is, I think it's actually, it's kind of a reclamation of your youth to play with the Twilight language. There's a certain youthful mindedness to manipulate the words to reveal their deeper truth. Heraclitus, Carl Jung, many great minds have made the quote that the aeon is a child playing with draughts, and sovereignty is the child's. And when I do anagram work, I am playing with drafts. I write out the word, and then I put all of the possible anagrams, and then something way more honest comes through these anagrams. And anus and NASA, it doesn't get any more honest than playing with these letters to reveal the magic is in the butt. It is fun AF. So yeah, anal fixation, right? This is Freud's anal fixation. In my old arrangement, I had the death card in the 6th spot because it's card number 13, and 13 is the 6th prime. So the anal fixation of Freud was in the 6th spot. Some of the narrative around the drones was, we have a hole in our monitoring system. We have a hole in our radar currently. This is all in your aerospace. Your aerospace. Arato, number 6. All right. Unidentified alien. Unidentified. It's always unidentified, even when they switched the nomenclature from UFO to UAPs, they had to keep the unidentified in there because the magic's in the butt, y'all. It's unidentified. And it's, there's another aspect here. Unidentified flying object. Oh, alien in vision. This is an alien in vision. This is a anal in vision. Envision the anal of. They're fucking with us. They're totally fucking with us, and it's working. It's working. What? I'm way more afraid of my fellow man believing in shit than I am afraid of me believing in anything. You know what I mean? Whatever I can do to pull the rug out from under the manufactured doubt. These number 6s, the loyalists with a shadow of fear, it is said openly in some of the Catholic scriptures that the church needs doubt. That is their main economy, is to generate doubt so that people come to them for answers. Number 6, Ignatius Loyola, who was Spanish, way more Spanish than Italian. I just always feel the need to point that out for people because when they hear Vatican, they think of Italy and they totally turn a blind eye to Spain. Spain. Espagne. España. All right. Yeah. Unidentified anal envision. Unidentified anal envision. That unidentified is, we all know this, but I'm just pointing out its twilight embedding in the narrative. That the unidentified aliens are also going to promote the next level of digital ID. That is the game, y'all. And we know this. We know this. But I just need to bring it out of the shadow and into the light of, we have been saying unidentified, yada, yada, yada. Well, sure enough, that drive, that phobia of what is in the shadow of the twilight language is playing forth the digital ID, the drive for the digital ID. Mothership and the drone incursion. Yeah. It is so phantasmagorically hyperstitious. It is so phantasmagorically hyperstitious. Drone ship anagram from endorphins. Drone ship in drone ship. Endorphins, y'all. Sure enough, you hold your breath. A lot of people are feeling the holding the breath between in this lame duck presidency that is already happening right in front of us. The holding of your breath, the suspension of pleasure, the suspension of gratification. We're participating in a ritualistic suspension of release as we hold our breath for Inauguration Day. Yeah, drone ship is totally playing into endorphins, which in the prime constellations, this was Hercules. Yeah. Also, it was the Hanged Man, which has to do with Houdini, and it even has to do with Wim Hof today. Wim Hof is totally a modern day Houdini, but I'm not going to go in on that. I want to explain somewhat of the new arrangement of tarot cards. Essentially, what I'm doing is a mad scatter. I've taken everything that was nice and orderly and made perfect sense from the old Enneagram, and I have thrown it all away, and I am bringing forward a new arrangement on the board experimentally that has to do with the first prime numbered constellations that I've explained in previous videos, but essentially the first 9 constellations on the International Astronomers Union list are mapped out here. And what I've done is I started by just putting each stellar tableau. All of the tarot cards are stellar tableaus. They always have been. And so I've put the stellar tableaus in their corresponding 9 places. And then I'm a bit off the map as I'm interpreting and intuiting corresponding secondary layer of double tarot cards in each station. And it would take me forever to try to explain my reasoning, my logos, my theurgic logos for when, why, and where I would put these cards on the board. But I just wanted to explain why the board has gone through a very dramatic shift right now, as I am focusing on the endocrine system. And so that has a great amount to do with why you see an entire new setup on the Slick Dissident whiteboard here today. And I discovered something that is just a new horizon, a new level of symbolic literacy that is, it's almost like reading alien script. It's so fascinating. So if you want to, you can DuckDuckGo and search for 88 constellation sigils, and I'll bring a graphic up. the 88 constellation sigils. I've been seeing these kind of here and there, but I've never seen the full list of them. And when I saw the full list, I was impacted heavily because I could have told you almost all 88 of these sigils for the constellations. I would have guessed them without having their names on them. I could have looked at the sigil and guessed what constellation is signified. And that blows my mind. In fact, I wish I hadn't looked at the names and actually had a chance to like do some sort of blind test to see my own stellar literacy. But the names are right there on the graphic. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. I can't even explain. Um, I can't even explain how I was already able to read the glyph or the sigil of the constellation, even without the legend, the answers written under each constellation. One thing that's really fun about the sigils is I don't have to write the entire word on the board now. I can just use the sigil for Andromeda. It's a real space saver. It saves space on my dry erase board. So this is, let's start with serpents. This is the sigil for serpents. This is Andromeda. This is Taurus. This is Boötes. I found an Ophiuchus sigil that I never even knew existed. I found a whole new Ophiuchus sigil. It's super fun. So yeah, it's kind of a, it's the Caduceus. No, wait. Caduceus versus rod of Asclepius. It's, I think the rod of Asclepius is the one snake on the staff, is right here. And this is also correspondent to the Riddler's cane and the prescription spatula that they use to count pills with, the Riddler's cane. Yeah, I'll bring in a graphic on that. Also, the glyph for, let's see. I put a bunch of glyphs down here for the universe card. Hydrus is the male water snake. Telescopium, microscopium, Indus, and reticulum. All of these sigils, they just save so much room to just use the symbols on the board as opposed to the entire constellation. This is Pegasus. This is Hercules. This is so fun. This is so fun. It really makes sense. The Hercules one, Hercules was related to Samson. Samson pushes out the two pillars to collapse the temple on himself in the temple of Dogon. Well, that is basically the animation of the sigil is embodying the story itself, the Hercules constellation. I can't even. I'm even seeing aspects of the drones. If you combine the Ursa Major with the Hercules constellation, I'm seeing major ingredients for what the drones are depicted to look like. Ursa Major here with is the number 3 on the IAU. 3 is the second prime. And then Virgo is the second largest constellation on the IAU. Let me think. The largest constellation is Hydra, the female water snake. She is number 1 on the list. Very potent that she's the largest constellation of all, because I'm chopping her head off and 9 different constellations are coming out, just like the story of Cadmus. All right, I'm going to call it on that, y'all. Yeah, magic's in the butt, so, get familiar with their chateau work. Engage your inner child. Let those playful, speculative thoughts to drag forth what is being insinuated out of your shadow. Yeah, don't let them play games in your psyche. Don't let them speak over your head. And don't let them speak under your legs either. They're slipping things right past a lot of people's radar. The mothership. Oh, geez. The mothership is, for one, it's vilifying women. We're about to have a huge narrative push about toxic femininity, and meanwhile, they're embedding the alien narrative with, oh, it's an evil mothership. Oh, oh, it's so intense. It's so intense. It's bullshit. It's bullshit, but it's intense. So yeah, the vilification of the mother and the longhouse and the toxic femininity is all part of the story here with calling the Iranian mothership. Even the word Iran, is encodes anal because the R becomes an L. Iran becomes anal. And the word Syria, is a palindrome for Ares, the god of war, wrath, number one. All right, and also the sigils of the 88 constellations. Right away, I was seeing logos magic. I'll bring the new Kroger's logo has uh, oxytocin and serotonin encoded into their logo. I'll bring that forward and you can see it. Yeah, this is 88 sigils. That's my new my logos, my transmogrifying logos theurgic practice is very much enriched by these 88 constellation sigils, as I think it's very much like reading an alien lexicon in the pictographic in that right brain aspect. And I am very blessed to have um, somehow been quite prepared to read these signs and symbols on the wall. On the wall. Yeah, man. All right. Big love and respect to everybody. SlickDissident.com. Get some hoodies, y'all. I'm going to pop off a few more designs here soon. I got the tank tops for ladies. I got t-shirts for the fellas and the ladies. I got onesies for babies, even little kids sized t-shirts. I got the tarot cards. I got the Zippos down there. Also, you're very much welcome to donate directly with the PayPal and the Cash App. All right, y'all. Happy holidays. I want to say this. I'm planning a hiatus for the holidays. I'm going to put my juvenilia away, as I do often in the deep winter. But I think my next episode, I'm going to just put together a poem, and I want to encourage my viewership to reciprocate in the comment section with their own poetry. My buddy James, he popped off a poem a few videos back and lit a fire in me that was, yeah, greatly appreciated. So on the next video, I want to invite everybody to bring your short poems, preferably short. And in fact, I very much encourage people to study the haiku. Study the haiku. Don't just make a haiku, study it. It is the art of the haiku that has given my comments in the chats great potency. Yeah, pat myself on the back just a little bit there. The haiku is the essence of speaking with wisdom. Speaking with wisdom. All right, y'all. Big love and respect.